Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to Cool's Talks Pop Culture. It's a little bit later than we had previously expected, but it was out of our hands. Weather has caused power outages for 3 days, so we moved it back for a week later, and here we are. We're going to be talking the Electric State, so same movie, just a little bit later. So we apologize for that, but we're happy you're here joining us tonight. As you can see, we got David from Abnormal Voyages. We got Nick down there.
From Nick Does Things Online.
I mean, he has a music channel.
I'm gonna rename my music channel, rename my YouTube channel to Nick Does Things Online.
Sounds like a great name.
It's a great name, Nick.
I might know. I do. Like I said, I've been saying this for a while, but I'm gonna be buying a game capture. So
there you go. Perfect. That's doing stuff online.
Yeah. See, Nick will be doing stuff online. So we're looking forward to it. We do enjoy having Nick on the show. If you guys don't know, we actually know Nick from outside of work and outside of YouTube. He's a fun guy. So make sure if you haven't subscribed to him, go follow him on Instagram, stuff like that. But today,
TikTok is the better place to follow me. I have my Instagram private.
We're gonna just cut that out. Just follow him on Instagram, no TikTok. I'm just kidding.
Also, if you ask really nicely, he might give you a trivia question in your DMs. He's a trivia master. Does that every week. So, fun facts about Nick.
See, you came here for Electric State, and you're learning about Nick today. So, also, I heard perhaps a movie he's watched before, Snakes on a Plane, but we'll get to that another time.
I actually haven't watched that movie. If you want to do that movie for April, I'm down.
No, we got this. This show is only about like current movies. Which, speaking of you guys watching, we have not decided yet for April. There's not a lot of choices, but once we do, we'll let you guys know. So just stay tuned. But
in May, we have the Thunderbolts coming up, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, May we got Thunderbolts. June, I know we picked something already. In July, we got like 3 things. So
yeah, July we've got Superman, Fantastic Four, and Jurassic Park. Sorry, Jurassic World, I guess, still. So
I wish I went back to Park, but I guess I get it.
It is outside of the park now. See, I would think after the trilogy, it would just be like Jurassic Universe.
Right? Just expand it somehow. Or just Jurassic.
Yeah, that'd be fine too. Just Jurassic. That's probably already a B film, though.
Yeah,
there's a series out there that's just Jurassic.
There's a lot of like Jurassic something, like Jurassic Games, which if you can tell, it's a parody of the Hunger Games and Jurassic.
Or why don't we give love to some of the other dinosaur time periods, Where's Cretaceous Park?
I mean, to be fair, most of the dinosaurs are from the Cretaceous. So.
See? So what's going on, man? Come on.
Right. Well, speaking of out of time, maybe. Electric State, post-apocalyptic world.
Back in the 90s.
Back in the 90s, at least when the war happened. A little bit different than the book. Have any of you guys read the book here? Or
no, I read up about it a little bit, but I didn't read the actual book. So the art looked fantastic, though.
Oh yeah, the art top notch. I really enjoyed it. It's very dark. I didn't enjoy it at first. I was like, oh man, it's a little, I don't know, a little almost try hard in how dark it was. But towards the end, as more story, I guess, comes through, and you learn more about it, it like gels pretty well. So you're like, okay. It ends pretty dark though, a lot darker than this one did, and the whole story's vastly different. I can get to that towards the end once we go through the movie.
From what I understand, it kind of sounds like they just took the very basic premise of the book and then spun it into a movie idea from there.
Yeah, like there's definitely things like the cover art you see at one point just kind of throughout. There's the heart little mascot in the like robot world zone, but in the real world it was like a mascot for like end of life health insurance or something.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like a dark humor type of thing. And like in that world there wasn't any robot like human war. It was that there was a war between like countries, or like a civil war. I think it's kind of confusing. It's like one of those things.
So it was like a regular global conflict, and the robots just kind of took advantage of humans decimating each other.
Well, so they made the like Neurocasters, so they use that in the movie, And people like in the movie start getting more and more dependent on it to the point where like they'd stop taking it off. And it turns out like if they take it off, they die. After a certain amount of time, like it kills them.
Like they got so hardwired into it that their brain relied on it
their
type thing.
brain. Yeah.
Okay.
And so it shrivels people. And there's actually like scenes where our main character, who's looking for a brother, like goes past like zombies. Like they're zombie husks, but they're like talking and moving their mouths because they're still thinking in the world. But
their body's shriveled up.
Yeah. And so they start becoming like hive mind creatures. And that's how the robots like kind of take that, or something takes that. And it's kind of alluded that her brother was like born from the central conscience, like it like got into her mom or something. It's like the immaculate, it's like Jesus, right?
Immaculate conception.
Yeah. And
so he was kind of like a hybrid human AI thing that was planted in there to be born.
Yeah, they get
a flesh body.
You're describing the book plot, right?
Yeah, this is the book.
This didn't happen in the movie, Nick.
Right, no, but he said, I thought I heard him say in the movie earlier, so I was confused. Like,
Nick was just like, did I miss like a whole half of them?
Yeah, Nick was like, did I fall asleep?
To be honest and fair, I was also scrolling, like doom scrolling through Instagram and all that stuff while watching the movie.
Yeah, as far as the like human aspect you were talking about, people like living in it, I got a lot of heavy message, kind of the same as like Ready Player One, where the ultimate message is like you have to live your life yourself, like not just through technology and like escapism. I kind of felt kind of that same message throughout this movie of people were just basically giving up their real lives to be inside their like drones or whatever.
Yeah, and I think that's same with the book. Like it was kind of like a
like commentary on that kind of thing.
Commentary on like materialism,
escapism
like
with technology and stuff. And yeah,
because also around the 90s is kind of when the internet blew up, and it kind of does the same thing.
Absolutely.
And so it's kind of like a commentary on that. And in the book, it ends up like she finds her brother, and there's like this there's this like detective, like investigator, like following them, and I'm guessing he gets killed by that robot. And the robots are building themselves from like the hive mind from like the mascots.
Okay.
As they go, and then she finds her brother who's been split up because of like social services split them up after their mother died. And she's living with like the host family, and she just takes him to the ocean, and that's where it ends. It just ends with the robot that we see in this film and the Neurocaster, because she took it off him. He's been controlling it, so he's gonna die. And they just
he like dies on the beach,
waves.
right? I've seen that last picture that's like him on the beach with the thing on.
Well, the robot, the last like picture is like the waves, but the picture before that is the robot and the Neurocaster laying there.
Okay.
And they're gone. So that means they just went into the ocean.
Yeah, I gotta say, I mean, I know we usually do this at the very end, but we could start it off at the top. I personally thought this was about a 7 out of 10. I don't think it was nearly as bad as a lot of reviews may have at the beginning suggested it was gonna be, because they were bombing the hell out of this movie, man. They made it sound like it was just awful, and I actually enjoyed it. I think the strongest it had going for it was the visuals. I think all the different robots and that kind of like retro futuristic vibes and stuff, like I like that kind of thing. I thought that was really cool. I really like the stylistic way that a lot of the robots were made, like the baseball robot, the piano playing robot, like all that. I thought it was really cool.
The magician robot, yeah.
Dude, that was probably one of my favorite ones. Like that's just so unique. Like this guy here, Mr. Peanut, I did not expect him to basically be a main character in the movie.
Yeah, he was like Abraham Lincoln for the robots.
And I thought he would be like a cameo kind of thing, since it's a big IP character. Yeah. But no, like when they meet him finally, he's there for the whole rest of the movie.
Not to mention too, the movie kind of set him up as like a villain before that too, and he kind of
right, because he was literally like the leader of the robots.
Mm-hmm.
So when they ran into him, you were like, oh shit, he's just gonna kill him. But no, I thought it was well done. I didn't get super attached, really, I guess, to the human characters like they may have wanted you to. I don't think that they put enough into the human element of stuff. But it was fine for me on this. I mean, I don't personally go to watch Netflix movies for super heavy, in-depth story usually, you know. I think it did very well as an entertaining distraction for an hour and a half, 2 hours. It was a unique, you know, world. I liked, you know, they didn't really go into the history, and I feel like if you went too deep into the history of things, the whole thing would have fallen apart because it didn't really make sense. But to that same extent, Pacific Rim doesn't make sense. That if we were being attacked by giant monsters, our idea would be better build big robots that punch them. So
I
sometimes
don't know,
you just
man.
do
I don't know.
things.
I think all the people that grew up on Power Rangers like I did would think of that.
See, but they had other weapons and stuff with the Power Rangers. I just think that sometimes it's okay if they're just cool. You don't necessarily have to build a huge, like, it's not logical. There's no way that would have happened. And realistically, if the robots, we probably would have nuked them if we had them all in one area, or you know what I mean? Like, there's other things that would have happened.
Yeah,
So
especially in the deserted area like they were in for this movie. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, there's
absolutely.
no way we would have been like, it's fine for the bad guys just to have this part of our country. No way in hell.
Definitely not in our country. Yeah,
No.
there's no way.
And they're and the bad guy, like that whole thing was a little flimsy, and that only one company had the secrets, and it all depended on one boy. Like, everything was very kind of convoluted to make their plot work, but that's okay. It was cool robots. The human character, like, they weren't super in depth, but they were okay. Like, I had nothing against Chris Pratt or Millie Bobby Brown playing the same character she always plays. You know, it was
Yeah, I
just
mean, Chris Pratt's the same character he always
yeah,
is.
and that's okay. And honestly, though, I really like that was probably my favorite robot was the little sidekick that he had,
Oh yeah,
and how it had all the different size bodies and stuff like that. Like, that was cool. I liked that. I thought that was kind of neat. Even though I still don't really understand what they were doing, besides, I guess, smuggling stuff from that zone.
just like 80s and 90s toys.
Yeah, and like the
They were
whole
being
wall
eBay.
of like big bass fish, and
Yeah. In another life, he was just selling stuff on eBay. He was like
yeah,
the
he was.
antique toy store on eBay.
That's literally what he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like a whatnot seller or something. Like, you know, but it was fine. Yeah, I thought it was good. I don't know where they go from there. Like, there can't be a sequel really, because that world is just absolutely devastated now. Uh, like, their whole way of life has been upturned, and a lot is going on. I think Giancarlo, he probably had the most dynamic character of the changes. You know, he was the only character that actually kind of thought about things, it seemed, and didn't just rush to whatever.
He was the
So
only dynamic character for sure.
yeah, everybody else was pretty much the same through the whole movie. And I think the drones that they used, I get they were going for kind of that 90s aesthetic, but those things look like shit, dude. Where like, I can't believe that they were a threat at all, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. It's not my favorite movie by any means, but it was a good time. I don't regret going, and honestly, or not going, but watching it. And honestly, if it would have been in movie theaters that I saw it, I wouldn't leave being like, man, I just wasted my money. I'd still be like, yeah, it was okay. So yeah, I'm firmly in the like strong 7.
I mean, considering the budget, I'm surprised they didn't put it in movie theaters because they ain't gonna make that back. I mean, it's $275 million.
Yeah, I still don't really understand personally how you work with the money aspect of things when it comes to streaming, like Netflix and stuff that's an exclusive on there. Like,
Yeah.
what they gauge that against, how they can tell if it's bringing in new subs, new people. I've got to imagine that it's fine for them though. Like, as many movies as they put out and stuff. I mean, look at all the Adam Sandler movies that came out that were just god awful. And
According to just a quick Google search, Netflix makes approximately $33.72 billion a day.
that's a day.
That's
There's
what it says.
there's literally no way.
Annual revenue.
Okay,
I can-
Revenue based off
I can believe that.
2023. Sorry.
I can believe, yeah, like 30 billion a year. I can believe that probably. Yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think it's just more of bringing people in, keeping them going to the movies. Because I mean, I think the budget for like Stranger Things this last season, they got several million per episode kind of thing.
I mean, this
So-
is still less of a budget than Snow White, so
Exactly, and that's not going to come anywhere near losing as much as this might have. So I don't think it's bad. I think it's good. And honestly, this is the kind of movie that I could see as time goes on becoming kind of a cult classic that people didn't really like when it came out or just wasn't highly like thought of, but it gets a really strong like fan base that's super into the aesthetics of these robots, really into like the little, the niche things of it, and kind of grows it from there. Because I think this style of post-apocalyptic, I don't think is done very often, where it's kind of like an alternate 90s feel type thing, and then a bunch of robots with very distinct looks. And I think people will dig that, and 10 years from now, we're gonna have people that this is like their all-time favorite movie.
I mean, we might have people now.
I can see that. I'm gonna jump off of that with my rating. Only because there were certain small things that just bugged me. I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Hey, no, that's very justified.
It's just there's certain like the
like even if you hated it, you could say 2, and I'm not going to be offended.
No,
I
did
not.
But
I don't
it's
need
not.
to
No,
defend this movie.
It was still entertaining though. It was still entertaining.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong. I don't plan on watching this probably ever again.
No, never. Yeah. But no, like one of the examples of like the smallest nitpicks for me is the beginning when the guy that Millie Bobby Brown's character is living with, he's like, "Are you ready to meet the wrestling champion of 1953?" And it's like, dude, if you were the wrestling champion of 1953 for your high school, you would be significantly older in the 90s than you are now.
No, you would only be like 40, dude. Or no, sorry, like 50. You'd be like 50.
No. 18
for
18
for the 90s, if you were in high school in like the 50s.
53 to 94.
If you're about 14, and then 40 years later, you're about 53.
Yeah, I don't know.
You would be like late 50s at most.
Yeah, even if you were 18, it looks like you'd be about 57.
Yeah,
I just felt like he looked a little too young for the part, but I guess not.
Well, he kept himself in such good shape by sitting there every day
and not eating. No, I mean, I think the comparison with Pacific Rim is actually pretty good, because it is kind of just like kind of mindless action in a way.
Yeah,
and
it's just cool visuals. There's enough story to hold it together, and if you don't think too hard, it's fine.
Yeah, I think a lot of the hate more is from people who really like the book.
It sounds like it was very different from the book, so I can get that.
It's very different, and there's a lot less like actual like theme to it and deep like thematic process, I guess.
Because I will say, it doesn't seem like this got nearly as dark as what it sounds like the book did.
No, nowhere is near. And people were like, the ending was dark, and I was like, not really.
No, especially because then they showed that he's still in the robot.
Yeah, he like was still alive in the robot, and you're like,
yeah,
okay.
Because I mean that's what I took that last scene.
Oh yeah, that's what I took it. Yeah,
that he's back into the robot, like his consciousness. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and he even got to say like goodbye to his sister before getting shut off to save humankind.
Yeah,
like that's not that dark. That was more like a noble self-sacrifice.
Yeah, whereas the book, it seems like just humanity is going to die, and these robots are slowly like farming humans for their knowledge and like their bodies, and then they're going to just get rid of them.
See, so the book sounds like it's kind of like a precursor to the Matrix.
Yeah,
the robots start taking over the humans.
Yeah, they farm. I mean, it kind of is
they like, trap their mind and then take their body.
Yeah, I mean, there's whole scenes where in the book where they're like, people are like riding these robots, and they're like a hive mind, like they're all connected to this one big robot.
See, that's weird.
Yeah, which would have been cool to see.
I also I did really like the giant robot holding the bus with them in it to like transport. That was cool.
Now I'll say, so this author has another book that was adapted, and it was Things from the Flood, but I think that was an Apple. Did any of you guys see that?
Is it The Things We Lost in the Flood?
Maybe that's what it's called, but it's called Things from the Flood is the book.
Let me see. What's this guy's name again?
Simon Stålenhag. His artwork's really cool. Like, I might actually pick up some other books. If anything, this introduced me to him and his writing and his art. So while you're looking that up, I'll give mine, I think 6.5. Like, honestly, I was expecting a lot worse because we saw all the ratings dropping.
Yeah.
And people loved Pacific Rim. I was not one. I thought it was average at best and not too enthralled. This one I thought was better. Maybe it's because of the characters. I think Chris Pratt's always pretty likable.
I don't get the hate that guy gets. I love Chris Pratt. I get that he's kind of the same character and everything, but I like that character.
But is it his fault? Like,
That's what he
he's
gets
getting
cast as.
yeah.
If I remember correctly, it was only because all of it started back like during when Trump was first running for president, because he was a Trump supporter and people
I do, yeah.
bashed him for that. But
the
like
biggest
the thing is,
thing-
he's not super vocal with his politics anyway.
Right. He doesn't make it a personality trait like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And even
the
then,
thing-
I don't even think he personally said he was a Trump supporter. I think like
No, I
to
think he has
anybody,
come out to say
he
that he
just
does
said,
support Trump. But yeah, I think
Oh,
it's the
okay.
fact, A, he's a conservative, and B, I know he doesn't shy away from saying he's a Christian. And I think both of those things people have like been against him, which is ridiculous.
mhm.
I mean, he's a Seahawks fan, so I appreciate that.
Oh, well, see, now
Yeah,
I can
true.
hate him.
Now I'm all on the Chris Pratt hate train.
Now I get it.
I mean, to be fair, there
I
are
get it.
roles that are different that he's played. Like, he played a role in The Kid, where he's vastly. I mean, he's the villain in that movie. And
Yeah, I mean,
What
I've
was
liked
your-
him ever since I saw him in Parks and Rec. I loved him
Oh, yeah.
in that show. Like, he's so funny. Like, he was so funny that he originally was just supposed to be kind of a one-note character that was gone after the first season, but he was so good that they kept him for the entire show. Like,
I mean, that's how I met him. I mean, not met him, but that's how I.
that's
got
how you introduced to him. Yeah.
Yeah, not through Parks and Rec, but through a one-note character. My first experience with Chris Pratt was the movie Wanted.
Yeah,
With
and
James
he was a
McAvoy.
jerk in that movie.
He was just he was
just a
some
douchebag.
douchebag who was cheating on his best.
Or he was banging his
cheating
best
with
friend's girl. Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
literally
honestly, I
his
love that
only-
scene when he gets hit with the keyboard and it spells out "fuck you," like the keys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or the other scene I just saw a clip today of was when James McAvoy's character comes back for the gun, he kicks the door down, hitting Chris Pratt in the face, making him fall to the ground, and then as he's kissing Angelina Jolie and walks away, he's just like, he's a man.
Yeah. He's like,
Like,
dude,
yeah,
he's
that's
just
just-
badass.
It's like, yeah, that's just it's a one-note character. It's just a character whose whole entire personality is being a douchebag.
Yeah, I think he's fine. I think he's a good actor. I like you said, Keegan. I think it's just that's what he gets cast as now. And
even Magnificent Seven, he wasn't really. He was kind of that like jokey guy, but he had a different character.
yeah, like
Yeah.
honestly, would any of us turn down roles who are like, oh, it's too much like what we do? Hell no. You're
Yeah,
gonna give me a few million to do that? Let's go.
I always laugh at actors who play characters with their same names, like Charlie Sheen. When he played on Two and a Half Men, his character's name was just Charlie.
Or like Charlie Day, how he plays Charlie, and It's Always Sunny in
Mhm.
Philadelphia.
or
Yep.
Jack
I always find that kind of stuff funny. It's like, like how much of it are you actually acting, or like is it like are you able to separate the character from yourself?
Yeah,
in
because
that
I mean,
moment?
if we're gonna talk about how Chris Pratt is like, let's look at somebody like Ryan Reynolds. He is Ryan Reynolds in every movie.
What about Jack Nicholson?
Yeah, like there's so many that's just who, like George Clooney pretty much plays George Clooney in every movie. That's just who they are now.
Except for in that Batman movie, I don't know what he was playing in that.
He was playing George
you
Clooney.
know,
Trust me, I know him.
I don't know who anybody was playing in that movie. It's just it was a movie.
I love that scene though, where they're like, "We think this is them," and it's just like Bane and Poison Ivy and like a trench coat and a top hat at like an old timey airport from the 40s, and you're
It's
like, "What?
yeah, no, you're probably right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you got it.
Yeah, that dude's in a luchador mask, probably him."
What tipped you off?
Yeah. All right, so David, what was your favorite robot? It was the magician one.
So I did really like the magician.
He was my favorite. So I mean,
Design wise, magician definitely. Characterization, the little sidekick robot.
okay.
That was just kind of like the sassy attitude and the smart mouth kind of. I like that. Every movie's got to have a character like that, and I think they did a good job of making it him. He was he's kind of an asshole but lovable enough that you wanted him to stick around. And I liked the reveal at the end that he was actually like the real little guy inside the other. Yeah, like that was good. I liked that.
Nick, what about you?
Probably the same for characterization. That little psychic guy was kind of fun to hang out with. For design wise, I would have to say I can't remember the character's name, but the one that looked like the male lady.
Oh yeah.
Polly, I think, or something like that. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like that design a lot too.
that was cool. I really did like that. And honestly, I could see a day not too far away that mail delivery is an AI type job.
Hmm.
Oh, for
Like
sure.
out of all the ones that were replaced, I see that one definitely being something that they're like, why are we sending people to do this? It's easy to get, a Tesla self-driving mail delivery, some crap like that.
I love
Yeah, and some
Tesla.
grocery stores have like robot stalkers
Yeah.
already. So
Yeah. So I could,
I mean,
a lot of these robots, I could see eventually having something similar to that being used actually today.
would you also count like the fast food restaurants have rolled out AI to take orders?
I could see it. I think that's very close to happening, especially since we even have like those Amazon specialty stores now where you can go in and pick up whatever you want. When you walk out, it just charges it to your account. Like there's not even cashiers.
yeah.
I could definitely see easily something where they take your order like that at a McDonald's or whatever. I mean, we're already doing half of that anyways when we're using apps now to like order things. They're
Well, like Amazon itself,
exactly.
like replaced. I mean that's kind of weird if you look back. Like you used to have like these mom and pop shops, and then Walmart came in, right? And then Walmart kind of took away a lot of these different places, and then Amazon came and took away all of Walmart's places.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
mean
like,
it's
what's next?
basically it's
Yeah.
Amazon, Walmart, and that's like 80% of retail now.
Mhm.
I think it's very interesting that they mentioned in the story that like the first AI robots were invented by Walt Disney.
I did like that.
Like it was part of the theme park. Like I was like, oh, that's funny. Like
Yeah, I was
that's a
like,
cool kind of alternate history.
yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a nice way to tie it into the real world for me.
Yeah, because he did basically invent animatronics. So
Yeah.
I like that they were like, yeah, and then he made them smart.
yeah, because it's not that far off. Like, just go through one of his rides and be like, what if he just gave that like a personality and like it could think, you know?
I mean, he probably would if he had the technology of today back then.
Which, speaking of Disney, kind of off topic, but on topic, what happened at Epcot? There's a big fire.
I don't, it doesn't look like there was anything major, but I did see like a lot of the videos with the big
Plume of
smoke fume
smoke,
and stuff.
yeah.
And I think it was like backstage stuff. So from what I
Okay.
understand, I don't think anybody was like hurt, but I guess things happen.
Do you think originally this was supposed to be a Disney movie, just with the Disney tie-in? Like, it seems kind of odd not to have been.
Well, that's what I was thinking too when it got mentioned. When Disney got mentioned, it was like, this is Netflix, right? Like, do they need to pay the licensing to use Disney's name or anything?
So they
But I'm
can use
not
his
sure.
name and stuff because he's an actual person.
Right.
Because it's like a historical figure. It's like saying, you can use anybody from history. You can use Abraham Lincoln, all that kind of stuff.
Right, but then
Um,
they also showed some of the parks.
but they didn't show Mickey or anything like that. Like you can show a
But
location.
even Mickey
And
is now public property.
no, only
Well,
Steamboat Willie version.
Steamboat. That's why it's Steamboat or whatever. Steamboat.
Specifically that one. Yeah, it's going to be a while still before regular Mickey Mouse. It's weird. Copyright law is very awkward.
Yeah, because there's like many different avenues you can go around, and then it depends when it's being used, how it's being used.
Right, like Peter Pan and Tinkerbell are copyright free now if you're going off of when J.M. Barrie or whatever wrote the book. You can still use those characters, but if it looks like the Disney ones, Disney can copyright you because it's their version of Peter Pan and
Mhm.
Tinkerbell.
Mm-hmm.
You have to change things up enough that it's weird. But anyways, I don't think this was ever a Disney project. I think because they don't really like doing anything ever that shows them in any kind of negative light. And I feel like you could kind of say this is a little negative if Disney created the robots that then killed a lot of people.
It took over a
You could
portion
say
of the
that's very
country.
dark.
I will say though, I mean it's possible because I don't know if you guys ever played it. Did y'all ever play Epic Mickey?
Mm-mm.
Came out about 10 years ago. Okay. So the concept of that is basically that Mickey, like that we know, gets sucked into a world that was like half forgotten or something. And a lot of the aesthetics of that is very similar to the robots here, kind of a steampunkish, overgrown, kind of neglected. and you can like help like save that world and bring things back up. But it's a lot of like forgotten characters, like Oswald the Lucky Rabbit lives there, a bunch of the older like cartoon characters and stuff, and all the animatronics. Like It's a Small World is basically run by all these like creepy robots that look exactly like this movie. So, and you're going through the parks that are like all dilapidated and stuff that have a lot of these kind of robots as like bad guys and things. Like it's really interesting. So who knows? Maybe they would be interested in doing something like that. I think they would have leaned heavier into their IP for sure if that would have been a thing.
Or have it be in like an old park. Like if it's in California, just put it in the Disney out there, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the, you know, the hidden zone. I did like that it was in a mall, because even though malls are like still around, it does seem sort of like kind of out of time. Like we have our big one here in Colorado's Park Meadows, but you go to some of the other ones and they're dead, or they're like not even malls anymore. Like they just have like outside things, or like kind of like not things. Like we had one that had an aquarium in it for a while, and it just seemed like an odd thing to have in a mall.
Nope,
If
I've
you
seen that has happened at a lot of malls now, that they have like the touch tank type aquariums and stuff, the smaller
Yeah,
ones. I think that's kind of cruel to the animals, to be honest.
yeah,
Like it's
because
such a
it's not
small,
that
weird area,
big.
you know.
Yeah. Well, I know
Keegan, if
ours got closed down for that.
Keegan, if you ever get the chance, go to Greeley Mall. Dead. It's the most dead mall I think I've ever seen. There's like maybe
Yeah,
3 active stores.
I think a lot of malls are like the age of the mall, I think, is pretty much over. I think that really hit its prime in the 80s and 90s, and internet shopping and things like that have just really taken a toll on them. I think COVID was a major nail in that coffin, because the ones that were thriving, that just, I mean, nobody wants to go and hang out with a bunch of people. Um, so I know they're trying to do stuff like, I think malls like movie theaters help with some malls. I think some of the, bigger like tentpole type stores, but I could see an age where only big cities have like one mall. I think a
Mm.
lot of these like smaller malls in like the kind of like middle to small cities and stuff, I think those are the ones dying out, and there's just not going to be enough popularity to go around that people are going to need more than one big mall.
Well, and then speaking of malls that are dying, another mall that's dying here in Colorado is 16th Street Mall in downtown Denver, and that's not because of COVID or anything, but that's because of the fact that there's been a construction project that's been spanning like 2 years or something like that, and so like none of the businesses along 16th Street have been able to really survive.
So yeah, cutting off access to things and making it inconvenient to visit. It's already kind of on that edge of like, are we going to go to the mall? If it's really hard to get in there, I'm going to be like, no, we're not going to the mall.
Well, parts of 16th Street Mall too are kind of rough at certain times, and there's been a lot of like crime lately, or like
Yeah, see,
cars
that doesn't
driving
help.
into buildings.
Yeah.
So that probably also is like, yeah, 16th Street Mall is one that I could see going away. Cherry Creek is another one that was kind of dead. There's been a
And if
couple
you're
I've run into.
interested in
Cherry
malls,
Cherry
check
Creek
out
does all
our
right.
episode on Abnormal Voyages, where we go to the Mall of America and see an amazing, thriving mall.
See, the Mall of
That
America is like
that
known
Minnesota connection
worldwide.
for me.
See, that's going to be the kind of mall that survives, is the ones that it's an experience to go. I mean, they've got a
Yeah.
theme park, they've got all these like major stores that you don't find other places with like different experiences. That's the kind of thing that I think is going to succeed moving forward. But how many of those big mega malls can we even support in the country? It's going to be like major one in California. You got Mall of America, probably some on the East Coast, down in Orlando, maybe stuff like that. Maybe one in like the Dallas area, but beyond that, I don't think that there's many populations that are going to support many massive malls going forward.
Yeah, I think the store kind of the future that's sort of mall like will be like the Shields stores.
Yeah, where it's like a superstore kind of thing, and
Yeah, it
it's
has
like an
like,
event to go.
yeah, it has like the
Yeah.
Ferris wheel and like um
Yeah, kind of like the Cabela
golfing.
stores and the like Bass Pro Shop type things, where they have like the
Yeah.
giant tanks in there and shooting galleries, and
That's
yeah,
kind of fun for the kids too, and it's more than just going to
right.
like a Walmart or a Target, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely headed towards more experiential things, as opposed to I just want to go shop. People want their shopping to be an experience. Otherwise, they're just going to grab their phone, click a button on Amazon, and have it at home the next day.
Yeah, and look at all the, I don't know, for me personally it might be different for you guys, but look at the stores when you were younger or even 10 years ago that you'd go to the mall for. A lot of them aren't around anymore.
Yeah.
it's funny. There's actually a store down in Castle Rock at the outlets there that used to be at Southlands, and I discovered it just randomly one day, both at Southlands and again in Castle Rock. And I was like, "Hey, what happened?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, it's just it got too expensive to be over in that area, so it's just now it's gonna be moving."
Yeah, like I said, the age of the mall rat and stuff, where kids just hang out there, people just let's go to the mall for the day. It's gone.
Mhm. Well, outside of malls, Nick, what is something else in here in this movie?
Robots. Let's talk about them. They're a problem.
All right, so Nick is definitely anti-robot. We found out.
See, it's funny because
It's not that
I
I'm
thought the
anti.
whole-
Hang on. It's not that I'm anti-robot. It's not that I'm anti-robot at all. I fear the day when AI starts to get sentient because we have made everything super convenient for ourselves as humans. Like the one thing on my mind that makes me think that a robot's gonna see it and be like, "Yep, we need to kill all humans," is the fact that we have sensors on toilets. Like once I'm done pooping, you got a little sensor back there that's gonna see when I move. That's way it's gonna flush the toilet instead of me pressing a button.
Well, that's more of a hygienic thing, though, so people don't have to all be touching it after they mess with, wiping and everything like that. That's not a laziness thing.
I view it as a little bit of laziness.
I think if anything, the robots, the AI, they might say we need to get rid of humans because they're going to look at things like nuclear weapons
And the internet.
They're gonna,
No.
they're gonna find they're gonna just search in, Sonic the Hedgehog Rule 34 and be like, we got enough right there. We're done. These guys don't need to exist.
Oh man, I want that in a movie now. Like robots.
They're just gonna look up ugly Sonic and be like, "Whoa."
Yeah, they're just
Delete.
there's enough messed up things. Yeah, that they're gonna be like, nope, that you guys had your run. You do not deserve this. We're gonna stop. You're cut off.
Are you saying this is why Elon Musk is like trying to get us off of Earth because he knows the robots are coming that
Who
he's
knows,
creating?
man? Yeah, maybe he's like, we got to get to Mars now.
I've seen iRobot. I know what happens.
I mean, I think we're still a good ways off, thankfully, from any takeover like that. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I mean, it could either go really well or really poorly.
I mean, most movies it goes poorly, so I'm just like, yeah,
Well, it's because you don't have a story if it doesn't go poorly.
yeah.
But reality, we never know. There,
I
some
mean,
will be good, some will be bad.
But I mean, Terminator feels like something that could happen.
I think that's a ways off, but it's
Yeah,
possible.
yeah. I mean, I know it was only like 20 years off in that movie.
Now, what do you think is more realistic? Something like Terminator or something like The Matrix?
I mean, that's actually a good question.
I think something like The Matrix feels more realistic because as there's already hype for stuff like VR.
Yeah, and there's
If they
already
could just
people that think we live in the Matrix
and
already.
if they could make a super advanced one that people voluntarily pretty much get into because they want, you know what I mean? It's not that
Yeah.
big a step to pretty easily without a huge war kind of humans do this now, you're gone. Whereas if they just come up straight up attacking us with guns and weapons and stuff, humans will always fight back.
But then they keep time traveling.
Right, yeah.
And that's why we have 4 Terminator 3s at this point. So many.
We have way more than that. I think there's like 6 in a TV series.
No, I just meant like third installments.
Yeah, third installments in Terminator.
Yeah, because you have Terminator 3, and then you have Salvation, then you have Genesis, and then you have wait, what was the last one?
Wasn't Genesis the last one that had Emilia Clarke?
No, there's one after it.
Oh no, there was one after where Linda Blair came back.
Yeah.
That Arnold was back in. He's like the old one. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was okay. Like it wasn't the worst thing I ever saw. But
all of them from 3 onward were like, oh, they're okay. It was like, all right, nothing special.
If I was to go out of my way to watch any of the ones post 2, it would probably be Genesis.
Are you talking about Dark Fate?
Dark Fate. Yeah.
Well, I think we need to get to the real subject today. Snow White.
I don't think any of us have watched Snow White. Nick, have you watched Snow White since we last talked about it like 20 minutes ago?
No.
What if he's
No.
like, I've only seen it 2 times.
I've seen reviewers that have seen it 2 times to like get accurate reviews of it.
I was gonna say I saw the only reviewer I saw was Charlie from Moist Critical. I saw that
Oh, he hated
had
it. I
spoke.
loved his where he was like, this is just shit. I don't
Yeah, I haven't watched this video yet, but I saw that he uploaded one about it, and I was like, okay, cool.
I
Yeah,
do know from what I've heard. I know that you showed us Keegan where the end of the movie is just all of them dancing in white.
Yeah. Well, do you want to know how like
the
they
prince isn't
defeat
even a
her?
prince, you said, right? Oh,
Yeah.
they break the mirror and she gets like sucked into it.
So yeah, so Snow White's plan is she's gonna show she's better because she remembers like everyone's names, and that helps them like turn on the queen.
Oh yeah, and I heard that apparently it's not even that Snow White is like, more beautiful. It's that she's nicer.
She's nicer, yeah. Well, because
She'll
obviously,
always be fairer than the queen because she's nice.
yeah, because the movie itself knew you
Because in
couldn't
no
do that.
world, I'm sorry, in no world is Rachel more attractive than Gal Gadot.
Yeah,
Like, I'm sorry.
That was one of the biggest criticisms before the movie even came out, though, too.
but to
that's
be
supposed
fair, look at any of the Snow White movies that have come out recently, and you're like, wait a minute, there's no way.
yeah, because the queen's always somebody like really attractive that they'd put.
Yeah,
And then the other ones are cute, like Snow White, like she's still pretty, but you're not gonna be like, oh yeah, no, way better.
yeah, because what was the one with it was Charlize Theron and Kristen Dunst, right?
No, Kristen Stewart.
Yeah,
That's right.
Kristen Stewart.
And then there was another more recent one that between these two.
And again,
but yeah,
Charlize Theron over Kristen Stewart. Sorry.
Yeah, and again, Kristen Stewart's not ugly, like she's still attractive, but
Yeah.
she's not Charlize Theron.
Yeah. Well, and then so I guess Snow White then goes to the queen and was like, or that's when the mirror like says something that Snow White's the most fairest or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he's like,
And then the
she will
queen like
always be
punches the mirror and it breaks, and then she like turns black glass and just dissipates.
Yeah, because the mirror was the source of her power.
Yeah, it's
is what they find out. Yeah,
it's so stupid.
So they pull a little picture of Dorian Gray.
Kind of, and then not only that, apparently, the 7 magical creatures that were going to replace the dwarfs are still there and just do nothing. But the prince, who's not a prince,
well, they're still there. They
them.
help in the final fight, apparently.
Right, they're just kind of there, though, right? Like,
But
it's
the dwarves. It's like they replaced.
We're not even doing a deep dive. Why are we talking about this? We're not doing a deep dive on Snow White. Anyway,
it's pop culture. It's pop culture. People come for pop culture. Our views are going up right now. So
sorry, Nick. Did you have more to say about the electric state that you just had to get off your chest? Exactly. Anyways, the one that broke me, apparently at the end, I guess Dopey just starts talking. Like,
I didn't know that.
Doesn't talk the whole movie, and that's like his defining characteristic in like all other media ever of Dopey. And then at the end of this, he talks.
I liked how the magical creatures were apparently just out of work actors.
Yeah, that's it. It's a troupe that can't get hired.
Yeah,
it's because they got fired from the one university that Galinda and Elphaba went to.
Oh,
they got fired from that, so they're out.
These are shiz rejects.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't understand why they're needing to do live action remakes of everything. That whole thing in the beginning just kind of baffles me. But if you're gonna do it, why do you have to change the story?
Yeah. Well, they changed a lot because obviously there's the whole like thing about Snow White, how she got her name because her skin's as white as snow.
Which clearly isn't the case anymore.
Yeah, and here it's because she was born on a snowstorm.
Well, if that's the case, I should be called Snow White too, because I was born at the end of November up in Minnesota, and my dad always told me he had like 3 seconds to get me from the hospital door to the inside of the heated vehicle.
We'll see. Now we
Hello,
know.
hi, my name's Nick Snow White Bergstrom. What's up?
I'm just curious if moving forward, if Disney's going to learn anything from this, because this is a massive money drop for them.
I hope so, man.
Yeah,
Just
I
Speaking
feel
of
like
other recent live action remakes, not going to the ones that are coming out. Did anybody here see The Little Mermaid?
it wasn't good.
I didn't see it now.
I didn't hear really much of anything of it when
No,
it came out.
that one didn't bomb as bad as this, but it did not do well.
Well, I don't think it
Gotcha.
was made for as much as this either, though.
Which is weird because that one takes place fucking underwater.
Yeah,
And they
but
still
they had
made
to
it decent.
refilm a majority of this. Like it was.
Because
I
there were
know
no
we.
dwarves.
Yeah, I know we gave Captain America. We talked about it a little bit, but at least that was making some money. Like it made what 400 million or something at this point.
Like
At least it made
it's still
some money.
it's still making some money. Like they're gonna at least break even.
I mean, maybe. I
I
think they
think
have
I
to
think
still
if
hit
you
700 to break
so
even.
by
But
the end of it, especially once it gets onto streaming and stuff, like I'm
yeah,
confident
media
that
sells and stuff. I
I'm
could see it.
confident that Captain
This
America
one,
will at least break even. Snow White is not going to.
yeah, this is breaking records because before I think the Marvels was going to lose the most money because it was like 270 million and it didn't make much.
Yeah.
And now this is like blowing that out of the water.
Yeah, Marvel's looks like a
A
Academy Award
masterpiece.
winner compared to this. It just goes to show that I think a lot of it's the negativity from Rachel saying
Mhm.
that she didn't like the original. I mean, you can't shit on the source material when it's a classic Disney movie. You just can't.
The classic Disney movie.
Yeah, it's literally the
Literally
first
the
one.
first one, yeah.
It is the first animated movie ever. And you're like, "Oh, it was creepy." Like, you can't
it was
do
such a
that.
dumb thing to criticize too. This isn't the 1930s anymore. It's like, no shit.
Then maybe just don't remake the movie.
Yeah.
Maybe just leave it
It's like we
alone.
don't Snow White doesn't need a prince to save her. It's like, okay, cool. Do you realize that the movie in 1939 was based off of an even older story?
Yeah, they're literally fairy tales. That's the point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's
They're
crazy.
meant for children. They're
I
supposed
mean,
to give
Nick,
children
I
hope
just
for the
can't believe
world.
Prince
I can't
doesn't
believe
save her in this one.
it's
Or
because
I
there's
should
no
say the
prince.
thief. She saves the thief.
Did
However,
you watch
he
Keegan,
does kiss her back to life.
Keegan, did you go and watch it without us? Is this your way of telling us that you actually enjoyed it? What's going on here,
No,
pal?
I watched quite a bit of reviews.
You seem to know an awful lot about this. Okay.
I've seen quite a bit of reviews from people I follow who are just like, they make money to go watch movies and they make enough off YouTube. So for them, they're like, I didn't want to watch it, but I get paid to do it. So
I mean,
Yeah.
I'd go see this movie if somebody paid me.
yeah, I'd see any of the movies if somebody paid me,
But
I'm
yeah,
not gay, but $20 is $20.
wow, that's not where we were going with it. Thank you, Nick. Thank you,
What?
Snow White.
What?
Um,
Nick Snow White Bergstrom in the house. What's up?
anyways, yeah, I just the fact that there was ever a version of the script and movie that they were filming that didn't have the dwarfs blows me away. That they thought that that would be an okay take on it that people would accept.
Well, I think a lot of that was from Peter Dinklage because I know when he became the who was the goat in oh,
You talking about Wicked?
yeah, when he became the goat in Wicked or the voice, people are like, but you're taking away real goat jobs now.
Nobody
See,
said that.
it's
No,
Nobody.
people
funny.
said it.
No,
People said
because
it.
he was saying, yeah, because he was
No.
talking about taking dwarf jobs away.
No, because he said this movie was offensive to like little
Yeah.
people
And other little
because
people
Well,
were
yeah,
like,
I can understand
no,
that, but
let's
I
work
do
for it.
not believe for a second that he said that anybody was like, well, now you're taking jobs away from goats.
They were making fun of him.
yeah, they
Oh.
It
were
was a
making
joke, Nick.
no, but because other little people
Heaven
came out and
forbid.
said this is like it'd be our dream
Okay,
to be in
Nick.
this movie.
Peter Dinklage basically said the dwarfs is offensive because, little people shouldn't be forced into roles like that. So Disney was like, oh yeah, so we're not going to cast like little people as dwarfs. And the little people actors of the world were like, man, fuck you, Peter Dinklage. That's our jobs. We want that movie so that we can be the dwarves. Like we want those jobs. So the way that he like took the jobs from the little people, they made fun of him by being like, you're taking goat jobs away now. You get it?
Yep, now I get it.
Okay.
You didn't lead with the fact that it was a joke. Anyway.
But yes. That's why
Cool.
there's
I'm gonna look dumb in this episode real quick.
That's why there's
That's the
CGI.
second time in one episode too. Anyway.
That's why the dwarfs are creepy CGI characters in this movie.
With dead eyes, yeah. Again, there's also people who are like, Lord of the Rings came out in like 2001. Why do they look better?
Yeah, because I will say, I can't believe I don't remember his name right now, but the guy that plays Gimli,
Mm-hmm.
he is huge. Like in person, he was like one of the tallest ones there.
Yeah, because he plays the captain of the Britannic in the Britannic movie, and he's a
Yeah,
tall
he's the
dude.
same guy that's in Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it like it's not difficult. And look at the hobbits; they're all normal sized guys, but in the movie they look like hobbits. Like you tell me you couldn't have done that for the dwarves?
Yeah,
It's
and see,
because they just didn't care.
the Hobbit, I know got a lot of slack because of the design. Like I know some people didn't like it, and now it's going to become like that Star Wars like prequel trilogy type of thing
Oh, the
where
people
people
are
like,
gonna like it now. Yeah,
yeah, they're like, oh, it's not that bad now. Like look, look what it could have been.
that's true. Yeah, look, dude, there was people thirsting after the dwarfs in the hobbits. They're like, "Ooh,
Yeah,
Thorin's hot." Like,
there's probably some books at Barnes and Noble, I'm sure.
but yeah, I just it was absolutely awful. But on the flip side, I will admit, even though I am one of those people that did not like the original movie, I'm actually very excited for the Lilo and Stitch remake. I think it
Same.
actually looks really good. And
And it doesn't look like they're changing much of the story from the
right, and
original
I think
anyway.
that's definitely a bonus. And again, I didn't really like I've never gotten the Stitch hype, and I think that the movie is not very good. It was not one of my favorites. Maybe just the age I was when it came out, it didn't appeal to me. I've never been a Lilo and Stitch fan. I think he's overrated, but I think he looks fantastic in this. It looks like Stitch, and it looks like they stayed pretty true to the source material. And I think it's going to be a good. I understand why it's going to theaters instead of doing like straight to Disney Plus like they originally were going to do.
Or they did with Lady and the Tramp. Again, though, that I guess was too, the streaming service just popped up, so they're like, go see this movie there.
I mean, kind of like Pinocchio with Tom Hanks.
I never saw that one.
No, but that got the Disney Plus treatment because of COVID, I believe. It was that
Oh,
time when
yeah.
all the movies were going straight there, so theaters were kind of out of the question for that one, I believe.
Yeah, that's like when people list the Suicide Squad as a bomb. I'm like, yeah, but it came out during COVID. Like,
And
you couldn't make movie
I think the
or
Suicide
money.
Squad was fantastic, and
Oh,
I
I
think
like that one.
that's the movie that I think cemented James Gunn to get the DC job.
Oh, yeah. Well, that just because he seemed to respect the characters, even though they
Mhm.
were weird and kind of outlandish characters, they
That's what he
still
likes
seem,
doing.
yeah. Yeah, well, I think he also gets kind of typecast as a director, which again,
Well,
I'm sure he's
brief
fine with.
brief part of that, I keep hearing from these supposed advanced screenings that everybody's loved Superman so far.
That's what I've heard. I'm trying to stay
Yeah, I don't
not
want too many
hyped.
spoilers, so I'm not trying to,
Yeah.
I hope it's good for their sake though, because if this is bad, I think we don't see DC movies for a long time.
Yeah. So
Did you guys hear? There's a character in the upcoming Superman movie named Superman.
All right, well, in that, thanks for tuning in.
no spoilers, Nick. No spoilers. This is what happens, okay?
You can't just shove me out of this.
um
They forced me out of the program. Nick's gone forever now.
It's just like, oh, and looks like we lost Nick. Oh well. So,
well,
you hear off screen pop pop.
so I think July is going to be very critical for just movie theaters because you have 3 movies that should make a lot of money. And if they don't, I think it's really going to hurt movie theaters, which are already struggling anyway.
I'm gonna call it now. I think all 3 are very good.
I hope so.
The one that I'm even kind of thinking a little on the fence would be the Jurassic one, but I think there's enough respected names attached to it that they wouldn't sign on if it wasn't good.
I don't know about that, but that's
The
the one I would think
Fantastic Four
is going to
one,
be iffy.
I'm iffy about all 3 of them because of the past.
They've got too much writing on the other 2. Superman basically has the entire franchise writing on it.
Well, yeah. Well, and I know Jurassic, they started writing this one before the last one came out.
Yeah, so I think they've had a lot of time with that one.
Because they didn't like where that one was going.
I know Scarlett Johansson has been super passionate about this, and I think she probably has pretty good cinematic sense, hopefully. So I think that'll be good.
I think there's a chance they'll make $1 billion.
Oh yeah, and I think they'd make more if they weren't all so close to each other. I think
I still think
they're
they
going to
can make
cannibalize
more.
each other a little bit. I
Yeah,
think they're
well,
still going to make a lot,
yeah,
but if there would have only been like 2 and like spread way out, like beginning and end of the month, they probably would have done better.
or like mid-June, first
Right.
or kind of second week of July, late July.
Right. But I think they're all still going to do very successful. I think it's going to be a very good summer for box office numbers. I don't know if it'll save the year. I don't know what it looks like so far. I think Thunderbolts will be a big indicator of that. But I think it's going to be a very good summer.
Keegan, are we planning on doing deep dives on all three?
Probably.
Mm-hmm. They're big enough. We might as well.
There you go. True. If we weren't doing, if like say we just weren't doing deep dives on any of them, are there any of them that you guys might skip?
No, I'd watch all
Mm-mm.
three.
I'm watching
You'd
all
watch all
three.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
in theaters?
Yeah.
I've seen
Like-
every Jurassic in theater.
Don't come
There's
at me!
no
Don't
way
come
I'm
at me with
not
that
seeing
attitude!
this
Come
one.
on.
No,
There's-
I would be at all three opening weekend minus maybe Superman. That might be a week later.
Okay, so here's your top 10 so far.
I think I'd be at Stitch a week.
Snow White
Stitch
is
a week
number
later.
5.
We're
for
not
the
counting
year.
Stitch. We're talking about Jurassic, Fantastic Four, and Superman.
Oh well, then yeah, I'm not gonna skip either. I might skip Jurassic.
So number
By like a
10,
week.
Flight Risk, 29 million domestically. Number 9, Hard Eyes, 30 million. Number 8, Den of Thieves 2, 36 million. Number 7, The Monkey, 37 million. Number 6, Mickey 17, 40 million. Number 5, Snow White, 42 million. Number 4, Paddington, 43 million. Number 3, One of Them Days, 49 million. Number 2, Dogman, 95 million. Number 1, Captain America, 192 million.
I just checked. Captain America so far has earned like something like a north of 400 million, and its break-even point is 425.
No, it's more than that because Disney did what they did with the Marvels and undersold what they produced it for, and then people leaked what they. Like,
Well, it's not even
Marvel,
that.
I'm just going off of a basic Google search. Just
Yeah,
basic
don't
Google
do
search
that.
says reported break-even point for Brave New World on its 180 million dollar budget is 425 million.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Brave New World. They'll be fine.
Yeah, but right now that's the number 1 movie at 192 million domestically
Yeah, I mean those sound about right for March.
for what we've had so far. Yeah. So, well, as you can see, we guys haven't done too much Electric State, but there's not a lot. I mean, it's pretty basic. Is there any kind of final thoughts before we get to maybe some more pop culture news, David?
No, I think it was good, and I mean, not great. It was decent. I would like to see Netflix, investing in more kind of unusual movies like this, and bringing us maybe some exciting projects that regular studios may not be as interested in. So I hope they don't see this as a failure, and it doesn't turn them off from making some big budget, really unique films, because eventually some of them are going to hit critically and it'll be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, what about you?
I the only other thought I had was I was just kind of surprised by Millie Bobby Brown's acting. Not because I didn't think she was going to kill it or anything like that. It was nice to see her play a character with more like dialogue. But other than that, I mean, yeah, it was. I wouldn't go back and watch it again, but I wouldn't necessarily object to watching it.
Yeah,
Like
it's one of those.
if I met someone who was like, "This is my favorite movie, let's watch it," I'd be like, "Okay."
Yeah, I mean, it's movies, and movies are art, which is subjective. So I could see someone saying this was their favorite, and it's not my favorite. It definitely, I think, falls far short of the book and the themes there, and it's kind of just a generic kind of like action movie in a way. And I think what saves it is the actors most people like, and it's kind of fun with the robots. So I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting 20 years down the line to see, like David said, how much this has taken over. Because there are movies that come out and people dislike, like Fight Club, that come out later as a cult classic. I mean, a lot of the 1999 movies, which are now like held as like some of the greatest year of all time by some people, a lot of them were like not very liked at the time. So we'll see where it goes. David, any other current pop culture news we should touch upon?
I think we've pretty much covered everything. It's kind of a slow week or two, so just kind of waiting for those May movies to start dropping. Really, we got about another month of just kind of not much happening. We got TV shows like Daredevil to watch and stuff like that to tide us over, but I don't think there's really a ton besides Snow White being a bomb.
Are we going to be doing Andor season 2 after Daredevil?
No idea. I never watched season 1.
Me neither. But I was like, it's something different. Nick, anything pop culture you think we should touch upon?
I mean, the only other things I can think of that we've already kind of hinted at in previous discussions are the How I Met Your Mother like podcast that's been coming out with Josh Radnor and the Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. If you guys haven't watched season 1 of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man yet, I highly recommend. It's a decent story, actually.
I've heard it's terrible.
But from who?
The World.
Okay, well, whatever.
From Josh Radnor.
Josh Radnor said it. He's like, I don't even like. He's like, I've never been in Spider-Man whatsoever, but I hate this one.
Yeah, I just heard it. I've heard it's okay, but I've heard it again. It's one of those ones that they changed a lot of characters for no reason, like Dr. Connors being a woman now, and like Norman Osborn's black now, like all this weird stuff that is no reason for the plot.
That stuff never
I'm saying
bothered
that's
me.
what I've heard of people being like, it doesn't make sense why they would do it instead of feeding into like the movies or something.
Right, I understand that, but those kind of changes, since it's no longer tied to the movie, those kind of changes just honestly, they don't really make a difference in the story whatsoever at all. The way they tell it.
That's good.
Yeah,
they don't make a big deal out of Norman Osborn being African American versus a white guy.
And they shouldn't.
They should have just had like it be Sam Jackson.
That'd been really funny.
Yeah, I would have loved it. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
I wish that they would just put all this into hurrying up the next Into the Spider-Verse movie.
That's from Sony, though. That's not from Disney.
Oh, I know. But they could throw money at it.
Maybe. I still am waiting for the day that Disney just buys Sony.
I don't know if they'll buy Sony, but they'll at least buy the Spider-Man rights, I think.
True.
After Sony's next failed attempt with whatever they're going to do next. Because it's coming. But yeah, we'll be back. Nick, once he gets up with his game and stuff, we'll let you know. That way you guys can go follow him. David has a brand new episode on his channel about the Sock Monkey Museum, so go check that one out.
That's right. A whole barrel of bananas worth of fun.
And as far as like newest thing on our channel here, we just went to the Infinity Theater at the Denver Museum and checked out the T-Rex documentary / movie that they got going on in 3D. So if you guys want to hear about that. But we will be back over on the Society this week, again talking Daredevil as we continue with that. We've been enjoying it. So look forward to that, and we'll see you guys in April for whatever we do there. Just stay tuned.
Bye.